What's up? Almost missed you there. I'm Torrey. This is the inaugural episode of What's Going On This Week in Torrey's World. So the best time to start a YouTube channel for me... Shit, I need to look at the camera, not the screen. So the best time to start a YouTube channel was in 2016, but I chose this week.
I'm going to ask you a difficult question. What do you think is going to happen?
If we continue down this path that we have seen, where we have seen this war continue to escalate since the invasion happened, we will end up in World War III and a nuclear holocaust.
Cooking a meal when they're actually not. I think that our political system is run the same exact way, and there's powerful people behind the scenes calling the shots, getting whatever they want, convincing you, brainwashing you, and screwing you over every single day, and they're doing it more than ever. And there was even a mainline study that we talked about a couple years ago, I think on this show specifically, talking about how our form of government is a joke. It doesn't exist. We don't live under a democracy. We don't have a democracy because special interests always get their way. What people want never happens.
He's like, and after you get 10,000, there's psychologically this thing where you'll just start growing faster because people want to follow popular accounts.
What was your advice though to these people on growing an audience?
My advice was pretty simple. I don't think you should grow an audience for the sake of growing an audience. Like the audience is basically a byproduct of you doing something else you really want to do. Like if you just got that itch, you want to scratch, like I want to create content. Like I've seen YouTubers, I think I could do it. That's actually a better reason to go do it than if I can get to 1 million.
Is that waving? Oh, get out.
Oh, it looks like Biden.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Just fucking waving at nothing.
If nothing else changes and we continue down this path, this is where that path leads. And it's not some far-flung possibility. They're talking about this now.
It's very difficult for people to live in a world without nuclear war, to live in a world where you get up, your alarm clock goes off, you go to work, you drive the same way every day, to imagine the eradication of all civility, of all the things, all of our structure in terms of all of our, just everything from all of our civil liberties to all of our roads and utilities being gone, everything eradicated almost instantaneously.
Yes.
And living in a lawless, structureless society where people are scrambling for food and dying of radiation poisoning, if you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
Yeah. What is your view of Alex Jones?
I think that Alex Jones is a sovereign individual who, very much like the rabid left, deserves a chance to speak on his points of view. I think that the truth on issues is usually somewhere in the middle between two extremes. And
So you think Sandy Hook was staged?
I don't know anything about Sandy Hook.
Really? You know he's just been sued by the families for millions and millions.
I have no idea.
You don't know anything about it?
No.
So why would you support someone in public when you know nothing about the most infamous
When
thing
have I
attached to
supported
him?
him in public?
You have supported him in public.
I've been on his podcast.
Yeah, but you said nice things about him.
I say nice things about lots of people.
What do you think of Alex Jones?
I said nice things about you, Piers.
That's fine. so you should. I'm a nice person.
So to sit and say that I've been on a podcast and I say nice things about
But
him
you
means
said
I
you support his right to speak about things like Sandy Hook?
I don't know Sandy Hook. I don't know. And
You know what it was?
It was a mass shooting.
Of school children.
Okay. But to sit and
he,
it's actually, no, let's stop for a second. Please don't interrupt me. Here's why I know why you're good at your job. First, you interrupt people a lot, which is good. It's a good skill.
Actually,
Cool, no problem. The other thing you do is you try and set these traps like now. So you're saying
what's the trap you think I'm setting?
You're saying that I agree with every single point of view a man has.
I literally didn't say that.
You're saying, well, you support Alex Jones.
Why would you misquote me?
Because you're saying you support Alex Jones and you said you've been on his podcast and he said this. I don't know
what do you think of Alex Jones?
I don't know everything he said.
What do you think of him?
I think on his podcast, he was cordial. I think he was professional on his podcast. I've also done podcasts with rabid leftists and people who openly hate me.
Is it wrong?
I do a podcast circuit.
Okay.
So, and I don't know everything he's ever said.
When somebody like...
And I don't know what you're trying to get me here because I did a podcast.
If you let me get a word in edgeways, I'll tell you.
It's a lame trick.
If you let
internet?
Absolutely.
You trust the people that got us into the Iraq war under false pretenses to regulate the internet? Do you think that makes any sense?
Well, wait a minute. I would not. The people who got us into the Iraq war.
It's the government.
Was the politicians.
It's the government.
In the end, yes, it's the government. But who else is going to regulate?
But if they're going to be in power and they're regulating the internet, they're going to regulate the internet in a way that suits their best interests. The same way they do with the banking industry, the same way they do with the environment, the same way they do with energy, the same way they do with everything. What represents their interests? There's so much. You're talking about so much money involved in disseminating information in a very particular way.
Drum roll, please.
Students of the University of Minnesota Twin Cities Medical School class of 2026 stand here today among our. We also recognize this acknowledgement is not enough. We commit to uprooting the legacy and perpetuation of structural violence deeply embedded within the healthcare system. We recognize inequities built by past and present traumas rooted in white supremacy, colonialism, the gender binary, ableism, and all forms of oppression. As we enter this profession with opportunity for growth, we commit to promoting a culture of anti-racism, listening and amplifying voices for positive change. We pledge to honor all Indigenous ways of healing that have been historically marginalized by Western medicine. Knowing that health is intimately connected to our environment, we commit to healing our planet and
Stasi, a group of Nazis, a group of communists, a group of authoritarians, a group of dangerous, evil terrorists, literally. That are watching.
The internet companies are rich beyond belief.
Yeah, it's fat, but it's a disruptive thing that has never existed before. I think it exists, and I think where we're at is where we're at. I think we need to move forward collectively as a country with an ethic that respects truth and that appreciates opinions and reality and an understanding of things that's not necessarily possible with corporate interest involved in dissemination of information.
But there's no way to do that except through the government. There's no way that you can do that except through the government.
Why is that?
Human nature is not going to change.
But the government's not going to change either.
But the government is capable of change. Okay, look, the government regulates, for example, the food supply, or can regulate. Let's take the
food supply.
Yeah, the Department of Agriculture.
Why have they let glyphosate infestate all of our foods?
Let's take what's one thing.
Yeah, but that's a problem. That's the government regulating.
Well, then we better get better politicians in them to appoint better people. I mean, it's not. Again, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Right.
Okay.
Is the CIA working with the cartels?
Yeah. I mean, short answer is yes.
They are.
Yeah, man. Not only the CIA, also, I guess every other agency in the U.S. or every three-lettered agency in the U.S.
DEA, CIA,
FBI. Like most of those guys are collaborating with narcos, not only in Mexico but all through Latin America, man. And I mean, they're not. It's not like they're like smuggling drugs themselves, but it's like they're breaking deals. Narco.
So, let's take the SEC or take the Food and Drug Administration, which regulates big pharma. On the one hand, we've got a very safe supply of drugs in this country.
Safe?
Drugs are tested. You don't get too many bad drugs. Prescribed drugs.
25% of all drugs approved by the FDA get recalled.
So that old authoritarian communist that's filthy rich, who wants you to be poor, he just said human nature doesn't change. We can't trust the public with speech, but government can change. We can trust the government. The whole country's founded on us having free speech, unlike other countries. That's why people wanted to come here. One of the main reasons. This guy's anti-American.
Yeah, well, honestly, it's a joke. I mean, 8 mice. I conduct preclinical research. If 8 mice in a study, that would at best be considered a pilot experiment. meaning the experiment really only is good for figuring out how to optimize the design of a larger scale experiment. It's phenomenal that we can do a global rollout of vaccines now based on a platform, or a global rollout of a new iteration of a vaccine platform based on data from 8 mice. It's really mind-boggling. That is not how science is to be conducted.
You know, some may say it's not the best time or the best day to start a channel, but here we are. So
I'll tell you, and I think most of you already know it. They have anointed themselves to not just decide what speech is okay and what speech is going to get fined. And once you put up with not saying those things, they're going to have a bigger list. This is just the start. That's all huge.
That are going out now. Like, you have to support Ukraine, put a Ukraine flag in your Twitter bio. And I see so many people doing that. And then Russia invaded Ukraine, so supporting Ukraine is important, so we should send money to Ukraine. And that's it.
Yep.
And
don't ask questions.
Right.
Don't ask how that money's being spent.
Right.
Don't question the corruption that everybody knows exists in Ukraine. Don't question where those weapons are going. Don't question, what the actual real life ramifications are to our national security as a country, to our future, given nuclear war is on the line. What to speak of the direct economic implications we're already feeling with, gas prices hiking in many places in the country, increased inflation, supply shortages, food shortages.
Hey, slap you upside your face, American. We're watching you. Everything you do, surveilling you on platform and off platform. And we've got a group of people that decide what you can say and what you can't say. A group of Stasi, a group of Nazis, a group of communists, a group of authoritarians, a group of dangerous, evil terrorists. Literally. That are watching you. Remember
the wealthiest individuals of the last century were built on oil. The biggest companies were all energy companies. Fast forward today, 4 out of the top 5 biggest companies in the world are not built on the old oil, but the new oil. And the oil of today is attention.
Rise in teens on TikTok.
The thing that is being pumped and drilled every day is the attention of the masses. You have 24 hours a day that your ears are open. You have 24 hours a day that your eyes are open. And how can we capture as many of those hours from as many people as possible and the war for our minds?
For me, the stuff is all about helping people connect.
The total amount of attention that exists is every human's eyes and ears collectively 24 hours a day. That is the pie, and they're fighting for it. People who are creating the platforms that other companies can come and drill, they're basically the digital landscape. They've enveloped the world. They're literally buying up the real estate of the collective attention that exists. The oil tycoons had to go and buy a state, negotiate, haggle with the farmer to get his things. The new world today, they don't need to haggle with anyone. They just take it.
Hey, slap you upside your face, American. We're watching you. Everything you do, surveilling you on platform and off platform. And we've got a group of people that decide what you can say and what you can't say. A group of Stasi, a group of Nazis, a group of communists, a group of authoritarians, a group of dangerous, evil terrorists.
And before it's entered the market? No. We had to really move at the speed of science.
In the last month, NIH, Washington Post, CNN, all of them are confirming that, in fact, millions of women have been harmed in terms of their menstrual health by these mRNA injections.
It had been known 2 years ago or so that this vaccine would increase cardiac deaths in young men by 84%. Would they have approved it? The obvious answer is no. You would never give something to someone who was young and healthy and increase their risk of dying.
A group of Stasi, a group of Nazis, a group of communists, a group of authoritarians, a group of dangerous, evil terrorists. Literally.
That faced the most restrictions on their freedoms in the last year
were those who made a choice not to be vaccinated. So they have been the most discriminated against group that I've ever witnessed in my lifetime. That's a pretty extreme level of discrimination. But this has been an extraordinary time in the last year in particular. And I want people to know that I find that unacceptable, that we are not going to create a segregated society.
And it kind of gives the impression that this platform, we know everything about it. We know everything about this technological platform. We absolutely don't. We're learning more and more about this vaccine platform based on the global rollout. Right? People get very offended when you suggest that it's that they're part of a global experiment, but they are. Look at the science that recently came out showing that the messenger RNA vaccines are being found in breast milk. Right? I mean, that was learned as a result of the rollout. That was.
Not only is it collapsing, it seems like now the narrative is starting to wake up to what's actually happened. We had two situations that have come to mind. One is a Pfizer executive speaking in front of the European Parliament, admitting that Pfizer never bothered to do any testing on how effective the vaccine was in transmissibility. And then number two, you got the Florida Surgeon General doing their own study showing that people who had been vaccinated were something like 84% more likely to have a cardiac issue within 20 days of vaccine. So it seems like the truth is coming out.
This time, their demands have changed. It's not just vote for my bill or take a vote. It is, if you don't do this, we will blow up the Senate permanently. Oh, that's a different thing.
В Америке по счетам платить надо. И все, что он выиграл, я даже думаю, с уверенностью могу сказать, так как он калифорниец, так как я знаю всех калифорнийских бойцов, практически, да, они платят, по-моему, 48 или 45. Но все, что он выиграл, с минусой половина, она уходит, по-любому надо. Я думаю, что он лучше дальше берется из-за денег, из-за счетов, из-за налогов. У него семья, по-моему, даже 2 детей. Я думаю, но я его не виню, но просто она не проходит обратно.
And then Joe Rogan talks about we need to have a culture of values that's for free speech. And he's like, yeah, the Rolling Stone geezer says run by the government.
I don't see why any of that has to do with me. It's very interesting. I've done the guy's podcast. I know him well. He was professional and courteous to me. When I meet somebody and they show me respect, I show them back respect. That's what I do, as I did with you.
You respect him?
If somebody shows me respect, I show them respect back.
So if Adolf Hitler showed you respect, you'd respect him back?
That's a stupid question, Piers.
It's not. It's a logical extension of your argument.
No, if in 1931 I was walking through Germany and a man come up to me and said, sorry for bumping into you, I'd say, sorry, no problem, mate. I'd show respect back. I don't know, what are you trying to say? That I sanction the Holocaust?
You literally just said if somebody respects you, you respect them back
I say if somebody shows me respect, I show respect back. That's a good way to go through life.
Whoever it is.
If somebody shows me respect and is courteous to me, I'm courteous back. Yes.
How can you respect somebody who caused such misery and pain to Sandy?
I have no idea the specifics of the thing you're discussing. I don't understand any of it.
Well,
I don't know anything about it. You've told me your version of events.
Stasi, a group of Nazis, a group of communists, a group of authoritarians, a group of dangerous, evil terrorists. Literally.
That are long that radiation contamination
hundreds
lasts
of thousands of years. It's an impossible scenario for people to put it in. The radiation will last as long as Homo sapiens have existed.
Yeah,
which is wild.
Yeah, and so we're in a position where, you know, I'm sure the billionaires of the world have their, you know, deep bunkers with food sources and water sources.
Do they even know? Do they even?
I gotta believe that they do.
Have you ever heard of one?
I know that. I mean, look, I know there are contingencies in place for our politicians at the highest levels should this situation occur so that they can continue to manage and wage the war from another location.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching as much as I enjoyed watching. Guys, but that's this week in Torrey's world. Until next time, enjoy the week and the video. Drop a like, drop a comment, drop a subscribe. We're going to 1,000. We're going to 10,000. We're going to 100,000. We're going to a fucking million. I'm not screaming in the neighborhood, but you guys understand. Let's fucking go. We're on the rise.
He was one of those new kids.